It's Tuesday, March 17th. In the headlines, opposition leader Mark Golding to make his contribution to the 2026-2027 budget debate. In business news, falling vegetable prices recorded in February. Regionally, Caribbean health officials are training to tackle emerging disease threats. And in sports, Jamaican sprinter Shanoya Douglas could be retroactively awarded a silver medal from the women's 200 meters at the 2024 World Athletics Under-20 Championships. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Opposition leader Mark Golding is set to deliver his contribution to the 2026-2027 budget debate this afternoon at Gordon House. He follows opposition finance spokesman Julian Robinson, who responded last week to the opening presentation by Finance Minister Favour Williams. Mr. Golding is expected to critique key aspects of the government's budget proposal. Among the main issues likely to be addressed is the proposed digitization tax, which has raised concerns among stakeholders due to a lack of clarity around its implementation. He is also expected to examine ongoing public sector compensation matters. Mr. Golding has also criticized the government's continued $11 billion annual withdrawal from the National Housing Trust, raising concerns about its long-term impact. Additional focus areas include the country's post-hurricane recovery efforts, national resilience strategies, and the adequacy of social safety net programs. Communities across Jamaica are being urged to take a more active role in ensuring children attend school as the government raises concern over persistently high levels of absenteeism. Education Minister Senator Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon says the issue is affecting students island-wide, with attendance figures falling below acceptable levels in several regions. She made the call during a standing finance committee meeting at Gordon House, where the 2026-2027 estimates of expenditure are under review.
According to the Education Minister, Jamaica recorded an absenteeism rate of 15% in 2025, an issue she says is not limited to any one area, including regions less impacted by Hurricane Melissa.
And absenteeism is a problem across the system. It is not just in the West that we're seeing it in Kingston. I've been looking at those numbers quite a bit. Even Region 1, which is Kingston and St. Andrew, I only have 82% consistent attendance at school. That is not acceptable at all.
Dr. Morris-Dixon noted that attendance is even lower in other regions, with Region 6, covering St. Catherine, recording just 65%. While Region 4, which includes Westmoreland, St. James, and Hanover, averages 66%.
And then when you look at Region 6, it's 65%. And when I say absenteeism, what we're looking at is poor attendance. So you come today, don't come tomorrow.
I understand.
And so it is a problem we are facing in this country.
The minister stressed that addressing the issue will require support beyond the classroom, calling on citizens to hold students accountable during school hours.
We need all our communities across Jamaica to make sure this happens. And I want to thank the schools for what they're doing in going out in the communities and finding these children. But the communities cannot hide them. We have to send our children to school. You can't see a child in the middle of the day in a fast food establishment and not say something to them.
The Education Minister says strengthening community involvement will be critical in reversing the trend and improving attendance outcomes across the country. Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
The fraud trial involving former Education Minister Ruel Reid and former Caribbean Maritime University President Fitz Pinnock was delayed on Monday after no defense attorneys appeared in court at the scheduled start time. 4 of the 5 accused, Reid, his daughter Cheryl Reid, his wife Sharon Reid, and Kim Brown Lawrence were present. However, the absence of their lawyers forced the presiding judge, Sanchia Burrell, to adjourn the matter while inquiries were made. The case has faced repeated scheduling difficulties, partly due to a separate murder trial involving 6 police officers connected to a 2013 triple killing on Acadia Drive. Several defense attorneys in the fraud case, including Linda Wright, Anthony Armstrong, and Hugh Wildman, are also involved in that matter. The trial is now set to resume on May 13, 2026. Proceedings are expected to include the completion of cross-examination and special submissions on a special measures application, which may allow for the use of technology and remote access. Reid, Pinnock, and their co-accused are charged with participating in a scheme between March 2016 and October 2019 that allegedly defrauded the Ministry of Education and the Caribbean Maritime University of more than $25 million. You should know that Oral Health Day will be observed on March 20. Maintaining good oral health, brushing and flossing, prevents severe dental decay and gum disease. In fact, poor oral health is linked to chronic conditions, including heart disease, diabetes, and respiratory infections. Let's hear more about this from Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tofton, on the ministry's Watch Your Mouth podcast. He shared what the government has been doing to increase public awareness.
The big picture is to get more Jamaicans to recognize the importance of oral health, of taking care of their mouth generally, and to make the connection between good oral health and generally good health. And so there is a communications component to enhance the knowledge and the acceptability of good health. And there is an execution component which yourself is involved in, and others, Dr. McKenzie, who heads up the unit, which means having more oral health units, having them equipped to do more than just extraction, and to promote good oral health, both at that location, but also in our schools and in the wider society.
The Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, reports that consumer prices in Jamaica declined in February. The All Jamaica Consumer Price Index fell 0.9% during the month. The decline was driven mainly by lower food prices. The Food and Non-Alcoholic Beverages Division recorded a 2.5% decrease, largely due to an 11.3% fall in the index for vegetables, tubers, plantains, cooking bananas, and pulses. Statin says the drop reflected lower prices for several agricultural products, including cabbage, carrots, cucumbers, sweet pepper, and tomatoes, as increased supplies entered the local market. Scotia Jamaica Investments now controls 33% of the collective investment scheme, or unit trust market, making it the largest player in the industry. The company achieved this milestone after increasing its market share by 6 percentage points over the 5-year period from December 2020 to December 2025. In regional business, additional flights and sailings are expected as Tobago prepares for the usual influx of visitors during the upcoming Easter period. During a press briefing on Sunday, Tobago House of Assembly Secretary of Youth Empowerment and Sport, Keegan Danoon, said that following discussions with government officials, persons wishing to visit Tobago during the Easter period can expect improvements in travel arrangements on both the sea and air bridges.
So you would be aware that Easter in Tobago is always oversubscribed, and thankfully with the relationship that we have with central government, they have given their commitment to ensuring that additional flights would be made available. We are currently in the process of seeing how best we can have our jet service the air bridge during that period, and so you can look forward to having additional flights being made available to the public of Tobago during that period.
Denise Williams continues the report with a look at the financial markets.
For the trading period of March 16, 2026, the most actively traded securities were Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited with 4,639,131 units, or 24.85% of market sales activity. Future Energy Source Company Limited ordinary shares with 4,540,822 units, representing 24.32% of market sales activities. Kentire Holdings Jamaica Limited shares with 1,762,181 units, representing 9.44% of market sales activity. Investor activity remained concentrated in transportation, conglomerates, and energy plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market, based on Bank of Jamaica data for March 16, 2026, Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. For the US dollar, trading margins reflected steady liquidity, with the US selling at $158.23 and buying at $156.11. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by $1.10 transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $114.09 and was bought for $115.19. For the British pound, continued volatility offered short-term trading opportunities of $1.93 in profits for the banks. The British pound sold for $208.70 and was bought for $210.63. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing, currency awareness for businesses managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For the credit report tip of the day, in times of rising prices, the ability to borrow at lower interest rates matters. A strong credit report can mean the difference between manageable monthly payments or debt that quietly erodes your financial stability. Lower borrowing costs frees up cash that can be redirected towards investments, education, or business opportunities. In our funded and focused feature, we want to reimagine the artificial intelligence or AI office for someone growing their business. Stop thinking of AI as a tool you buy or a tool you subscribe to, and start thinking of AI as flows that produce business outcomes. So let's imagine a monthly rhythm for a growth business. For week 1, you want strategy and forecast. So AI produces updated 90-day revenue and cash scenarios. For week 2, you want content, and so AI creates the content calendar, the ads, and the outreach sequences. Week 3 is conversion optimization. So AI helps you to test copy, and that refines your lead scoring to show you where you got the highest response. Now, week 4 is operation and hiring. So you use AI to review your standard operating procedure, and it pulls candidates for you to review. So for an outcome-oriented checklist, you're going to use AI and make sure every subscription maps to at least one key performance index that it moves in your company. Every automation that you purchase must have an owner, and it must have a return on investment after 60 days. And then you're going to replace any AI subscription that is too much work, and you're going to have an integrated workflow, which is really one automation platform, and that flows into your business. And that's today's business report. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
Now for more regional news. A regional effort to boost the Caribbean's preparedness for public health emergencies is underway in Port of Spain, where health officials and experts are taking part in a specialized outbreak response training program. The initiative brings together representatives from several member states of the Caribbean Public Health Agency to strengthen coordination and response to emerging and re-emerging infectious diseases.
A training program designed to strengthen the region's response to public health emergencies is being held this week at the Bricks Hotel in Trinidad and Tobago. The Gone Outbreak Response Scenario Program is being conducted for 7 Caribbean Public Health Agency member states, including this country. Speaking at the opening ceremony on Monday, Health Minister Dr. Lakram Bodo welcomed the training and stressed its importance.
Participants will analyze the epidemiological data, adapt responsive strategies, produce situation reports, conduct risk assessments, and manage risk communication.
Minister Bodo reminded the participants that the Caribbean continues to face increasing risks for both emerging and re-emerging infectious diseases.
This program invests in preparedness, workforce deployment, surveillance, and laboratory systems. It is a testament to foresight, partnership, and shared responsibility.
Minister Bodo said this country remains dedicated to regional health security and public health preparedness.
Trinidad and Tobago stands proudly as a partner in safeguarding the health of our communities and the wider Caribbean. As Minister of Health, I reaffirm Trinidad and Tobago's strong commitment to working hand in hand with our regional and international partners to safeguard the health of our people.
The Global Outbreak and Alert Response Network is a global technical partnership and a key mechanism to engage the resources of technical agencies beyond the United Nations for rapid identification, confirmation of, and response to public health emergencies of international importance. Nicole Duki, TTT News.
Health officials in Barbados are moving to strengthen the country's response to drug-resistant infections. Government leaders and medical professionals met on Monday at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital with a visiting infectious disease pharmacist from Canada to advance the island's antimicrobial stewardship efforts. CBC News' Deanza Roberts reports.
Health experts say antimicrobial resistance, often called AMR, is one of the most serious threats to global health. At a special reception at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Barbados' ongoing efforts to limit the misuse of antibiotics and slow the spread of drug-resistant infections were discussed. Director of Clinical and Diagnostic Services, Dr. Corey Ford, says Barbados has already taken some steps to combat AMR.
Just last year, we had a major government investment in new equipment in microbiology of the course of almost $3 million, which helps us in a particular way. It allows us to identify organisms faster, but not only faster, it allows for treatment to be implemented much faster.
The event also welcomed Canadian infectious disease pharmacist Mark McIntyre, who will be working with local teams to provide training and support. He says better ways to protect patient and healthcare systems are needed.
The moral imperative of continuing antimicrobial use and making sure that we have reliable ways to impact people's care in a way that will maintain our health systems globally and sustainably is why we start. But I think why we continue is because we meet people. We meet other people who think differently. We meet people who think the same. And we figure out ways that we can do this work together globally and in an ongoing way.
The hospital's Chief Executive Officer, Neil Clark, says the initiative will help the hospital review its practices and improve patient care.
Over the next 2 weeks, this engagement provides us with an opportunity to reflect on our current practices, identify gaps, and strengthen our stewardship approach so that we protect the effectiveness of these life-saving medicines for the future generations.
Meanwhile, Minister of Health Lisa Cummins says government remains committed to building a first-class healthcare system for Barbadians.
My role is to focus on structure, processes, transformations, the business of healthcare for people and making sure that that works. And so that's what I intend to be able to do.
As Barbados continues to strengthen its response to antimicrobial resistance, health officials say responsible antibiotic use and improved infection control will be key to protecting patients and preserving the effectiveness of life-saving medicines. Deanza Roberts, CBC News.
Grenada is moving to strengthen its position in the global services economy. Government officials, regional agencies, and key stakeholders are meeting at St. George's for a 3-day workshop focused on improving the use of services trade data to support economic growth and resilience in Grenada.
A national workshop focusing on trade and services policy and economic resilience is being hosted by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development in collaboration with the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, CARICOM, and the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean. The workshop brings together representatives from government ministries, the private sector, academia, and the creative industries to examine how services, particularly digital and creative services, can contribute to Grenada's economic diversification. Joseph Andel, Minister for Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development, highlighted the importance of the engagement.
We need better data, better coordination, and better strategies. This workshop gives us all three. It will help us to answer some critical questions.
Participants are exploring ways to strengthen the country's capacity to produce and use services trade data to support evidence-based policy making. Sessions on the first day focused on key concepts such as digital trade, the growing role of information and communication technology services, roadblocks and bottlenecks within existing systems, and how intellectual property can be monetized in the modern digital economy. The initiative is part of a broader regional project designed to strengthen the ability of Caribbean countries to collect and analyze services trade statistics and translate those insights into effective policy decisions.
Share further. Because we cannot build a resilient services economy in silos. We build it together. With shared data, shared thinking, and shared purpose. At the end of this workshop, we'll be able to walk away with the following: a map of the bottlenecks affecting our creative value chain, market access priority list to guide our negotiators, and the draft terms of reference for a national trade in services working group.
The workshop also encourages cross-sector dialogue, allowing policymakers, statisticians, and industry representatives to identify key challenges and opportunities for services-led development. Over the next 2 days, participants will engage in group discussions and policy exercises aimed at identifying priority areas for strengthening Grenada's competitiveness in sectors such as creative industries, ICT, and other knowledge-based services. The outcomes of the workshop will contribute to a country-specific advisory report to support Grenada's efforts to build a more resilient and diversified economy. For GBN News, Janelle Dick.
In sports, we have news on athletics. Jamaica's Shania Douglas could be upgraded to a silver medal from the women's 200 meters at the 2024 World Athletics Under-20 Championships following a doping violation involving the original winner. It was announced that the British Virgin Islands, DIGI, who won gold at the event in Lima, Peru, tested positive for 2 banned substances. As a result, her disqualification could lead to a reshuffling of the final standings. Douglas had originally placed 3rd in the August 2024 final behind Hudge and Australia's Tory Lewis, who finished 2nd. With Hudge's result under review, Lewis is expected to be elevated to gold, while Douglas would move up to silver. Over now to cricket. Cricket West Indies says all players and members of the team management unit who were part of the West Indies men's squad at the ICC Men's T20 World Cup in India have returned home safely. In a statement to the press, CWI notes challenges relating to cancellations of chartered flights coordinated by the International Cricket Council. However, it says commercial travel was successfully secured for the members of the squad earlier this week. The final group of players and support staff completed their journeys over the past several days and have now safely returned to their respective destinations. And in football, Bolivia defeated a defense-minded Trinidad and Tobago 3-0 in their international friendly in Santa Cruz, Bolivia on Sunday. Wayne Cunningham has the details as well as a post-match reaction in this report.
Trinidad and Tobago went into their international friendly versus Bolivia on Sunday with a highly defensive unit, which started with 7 players listed as defenders at club level. The setbacks started early for Derek King's team, when defender Ross Russell Jr. was cautioned in the 18th minute, and shortly after that, the hosts got their first goal in the 23rd minute, courtesy Luis Joaquin's header. Goal number 2 came in the 38th, off the boot of Juan Godoy, to give Bolivia a 2-0 halftime lead. 6 minutes into the second half, it was 3-0. With Fernando Nava, nothing for the South Americans. The ultra-defensive TNT unit struggled in attack, with the opposing goalkeeper rarely troubled during the encounter. The head coach shared his thoughts on the performance at the post-match press conference, and we have a bit of that, courtesy TTFA Media.
First half, we was a bit naive in the sense that we didn't put up with football athlete. Also, as I told you guys, what they got for this is difficult. A team that prepared the playoff games. The first 20 minutes, as I told them, we have to stay in the game. We have to stay in the game. And I think we are now a soft going. I believe that is to be 22nd minute. Football, I think the guys did well.
Despite the result, King was satisfied with his young bunch, some of whom was seeing international action for the first time.
At 5 players being made a debut today as well. I think we saw some positives in the game coming up with some of the younger players. Senior guys, Captain Ramsad, our young centre-back, Adam Payne, he said, second half, I think what we tried to do was I told them, after, we adjust a bit in the system, and we came out and tried to put on football and play. I think, we created at least 1 or 2 chances.
Trinidad and Tobago's next major international outing will be the FIFA series in Uzbekistan versus Venezuela on March 27th. Wayne Cunningham, TTT Sport.
And that's it for the news on PBCJ. Thanks for watching.